hot and warm relationships. Let's start with hot. Have you ever met someone who you thought, and think about this person for a moment, who you thought was really hot? Anyone ever met someone who they thought was hot? Okay, think about that person for a second. Not too long. Let me ask you a question about that person. Where are they now? Are they still in your life? Raise your hand if they're still in your life. Raise your hand if they're not in your life. Most people. There's a difference in temperature. And for me, hot is very interesting. And I go salsa dancing, by the way, and I'm married, so. But the beauty of salsa dancing is you get to meet other people and you get to dance with them. And there are some people that I've met in my life who were hot. Incredibly hot. But the difference was, I can't handle hot, it turns out. The temperature is too hot. Because, how do you tell the difference? Hot means you cannot be yourself. Have you ever met someone and try as you may, you cannot be yourself? You think they're amazing, but you are on a hamster wheel, like trying to be good, trying to help them, trying to say the right thing, trying to do this, but you are never yourself. Have you ever had that experience? The reason is, it's too hot. And what hot means, for me, and maybe for you, is hot touches a wound inside yourself. It touches the wound. And if you're like me, my dad was an alcoholic, and I tried as hard as I could to get love from him and love from my mom. And so I think trying really hard is actually being in love. So when I meet someone hot, I try really hard, it touches my wound, and basically I'm in a lot of pain. But I think it's pretty hot. Because it turns out I'm a pain addict. So this is working great. I'm in a lot of pain. And that's the difference, because what happens, if you've ever been wounded by any kind of traumatic experience, is it creates more dopamine receptors in your brain. And if you ever use cocaine, which I know most of you didn't, but I'm sure you used some kind of drug. The first time is the best time. After that, your brain creates more dopamine receptors, so you need even more. It's the same with hot people. The first time you meet them, you think you can handle it. And it's pretty hot. But it turns out you need more. And you need more. And you need more. And the one problem with that, you just can't get enough. And so how do I tell the difference? And mind you, I don't want to discourage you, because some people, when I tell them, well, what I'm basically telling you, if it's hot, go the other way. But I don't want to discourage you, because you could actually meet people, and here are the other kind of people that I really like, who are beautiful. Have you ever met someone who's beautiful? They're just as hot, but instead they're beautiful. And to me, what beautiful means is you can be yourself. Now, I'm not saying like, I've been with some beautiful people, but I never actually thought they were hot. And I've been with some hot people, and they weren't very beautiful. And that's really the difference. What I'm trying to discern for you is, wow, you can still be with beautiful people, and you can still have a great life. It's just if it's too hot, turn down the temperature on the frying pan. Be with someone you can be yourself with. And that's kind of what I had to get a taste for. And if you've been wounded, warm people, like my wife, she's very warm and she's very, what I call, normal. Now, when I first met her, normal people to me were incredibly boring. They're just so darn normal. And what they do that makes a difference, because, all right, let's check this out. Have you ever met someone who you thought, oh, you were okay, they were kind of hot, but you felt pretty good, actually? Did that ever happen to you? Mm-hmm. The difference is when they shift. And what normal people, what warm people do, is a very interesting thing. They actually, this is very strange, they keep their agreements. Amazing. What hot people do is you start out with them and you're thinking, oh, this is a pretty good conversation. And then suddenly, they switch. And they don't keep their agreements. And if you've ever been wounded, it's by people who you had things like, oh, I thought my dad would just love me, but he had to drink. So actually, hot people, they're not around long enough. And actually, if you really put a temperature gauge on them, they're cold. they're actually cold because they're incapable of intimacy because they're just on a different path. And I'll tell you what hot people actually taught me. Hot people taught me a very valuable lesson, and I really appreciate them. They taught me the one thing that I think all relationships teach us is, do you want to know what it is? Me too. Figure this out. Well, she taught me to love myself. So if I'm having an out-of-body experience, it means, James, you're not exactly loving yourself today. You're trying to love somebody else. You're trying to get love from someone who actually couldn't give it to you, sorry. And that's okay. Because what I had to do is go, okay, that's cool, I get that. So now when I meet somebody really hot, I really analyze it. Like last night. It was a good night last night. Last night, I met two women. One was hot. And my definition of as hot is you look really good, but I cannot say a darn word to you. Because there's no actual communication. It's just my projection of your temperature. And then we try to talk, but there's nothing to talk about. But I still go after hot. And then there was a woman who I consider just beautiful. And the only difference was, she was, if you, and here's an interesting thing. Some people's hot is some people's beautiful. And some people's beautiful is some people's hot. So when you meet somebody, it's really based on you. You're the one. Because there are other people that meet the same person that you think is hot and be totally fine with them. Not a problem. Nice to meet you and have a great relationship. So it's really a difference of degree in yourself. So getting back to the beautiful woman. You want to get back to the beautiful? Sure. Me too. It turns out I just talked to her and she's very nice. And I was like, oh, I'm just being myself. And to me, that's the difference degree of what I actually experience now and what I want in a relationship. Is I want to be warm. I just want to be warm. And it's funny, I'm married 5 years now, and I feel really warm. I feel really good. I wake up, I get to be myself. Now, I'll tell you, if I was with that hot woman last night, I wouldn't be here right now. No, because I would be busy trying to figure out how to stay with the hot woman. And it takes a lot of work. If the temperature's too hot, you gotta work like a dog to be with these people. And at the end of the day, the problem with hot people is you're hot, and then the moment you leave them, it's incredibly cold. It's incredibly cold. And that's what I'm telling you. The beauty of warm people is they have actual consistent temperature. Now, if you're not used to consistency, it can be very disarming. You're like, whoa. But if you can develop a taste for warm, you get to have a full life. And the beauty of it is, warmth to me means I can live my life, and I can enjoy being with other people. And most of all, I get to be myself. And today, I really appreciate it.